Hello YouTubers, how are you today? This is your driver Scott. So today, before I begin, what I'd like to say is thank you to everyone who has subscribed, anyone who's liked the channel, anyone who's shared the channel, and anyone who's made any comments. I've also had people who send me private comments. They've spoken to me either in person, on the phone, or through text message telling me that they like the videos. I'm really happy people are liking it. So I'd like you to please keep liking, subscribing, commenting if you do like the video. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. Anyway, I wanted to post this video like last week, and I apologize to my subscriber who I told her I was going to do it. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you the story that happened. Hopefully, I'll be able to tell you a couple of stories that kind of relate to it, in a roundabout way. What happened was I was driving. It was probably about 7:30 at night, and I get a call. It's a LFT Line, and I go and I pick the lady up at this fast food restaurant called Wendys, and I picked her up and I take her along the way, and it's taken me a while, because I pull out onto this road, and even though for the most part rush hour traffic's gone, I have to kind of wait for traffic to pass before I can get into the main street to go. And I was driving along, and I get to this point where the road's going to kind of split. For those of you who know Broward, I'm talking about Sunrise, where Sunrise Boulevard splits off, and you go south on Federal, and then you go west on Sunrise. So I'm like right there at that point, when all of a sudden I get a ping that there's another, the LFT line has been updated. And I go ahead and I looked. You got to wait for it to download, so it takes about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And I look to see where they want me to go, and they actually want me to go back where I came from, which is most of the times what happens. Usually when it's a LFT line or an Uber pool, you kind of have to go out of your way to pick the person up. It's not really along the way they initially said it was going to be. So anyway, I really had no choice because of where I was on Sunrise. Sunrise, a lot of people don't know that. I don't know anyone who really knows the area who don't live in, especially those who don't live in Broward. Anyway, Sunrise, if you try to make a right to go back, you can't, because they have the area blocked off. You go in like maybe 100 yards, 150 yards, and boom, it's blocked off. The street's blocked off. So you can't get to the back roads trying to go north on Sunrise. You have to go way down, you have to come back around, and then go all the way back around again. The only other way is to go south on Federal and then go down and come back and do a U-turn from there. So anyway, I saw what they were asking me to do, and I inadvertently said something along those lines. I kind of mumbled a curse word under my breath, and it was only because they never make it easy. So anyway, I had to go and do the U-turn. I go down, I do the U-turn, and I end up stopping for a second at a light. And I'm going, where are they asking me to go? And I tapped the address that I'm supposed to pick up on. And it's the same address I just left. So I tell the lady in the back, I said, you'll never guess where we're going. And she's like, where? I said, we're going right back to where we just came from. So she goes, really? So who are we picking up? And I gave her the name. And she seemed to know who the person was. So I thought this would be kind of funny, as we go back to the same place we just left to pick up somebody that she knows. So I pull in, and again, I have to do another U-turn. It's a whole complicated thing over in Sunrise. But anyway, I went ahead and did that, and I pull in, and I see this lady come out. And the person I was supposed to pick up said it was a guy. So anyway, I'm sitting there waiting, and she comes up to the car door, and she gets in. And I said hello to her, and she's saying hello to the other lady in the back. And they're both kind of, I don't know, it seemed for a second that they really didn't know each other. And I was thinking, well, okay, maybe she thought she knew who this person was, but it was somebody else, same name. I don't know, I got a little confused at that point. But anyway, I drive out of Wendy's, and I get back on Sunrise. And, I start heading west on Sunrise. So as we're going, I realized that, yes, they do know each other. And And the first one I picked up was kind of, they were playing back and forth a little bit. And the one who got in, the second person who got in, the second lady who got in, she's like, "You've been bothering me since 11 a.m." Which I thought was really funny. And then the first one says, "Can you drop her off first?" You know, they were just kind of playing like that, back and forth. So anyway, it said to drop off the first lady first. So I'm driving along, and they're, you know, going back and forth, having a good time. Or at least I was having a good time. And I stop, and I go, "Okay, here you are." And she goes, "Where are we?" And I tell her the address, and she goes, "This isn't my house." So apparently she had forgotten to put, she put the wrong address in. She said that she said home, so maybe something got messed up in her navigation system. From what I heard, it sounded like home in her app was the correct address, but something got messed up along the way, and they put this other address there. So anyway, I said, "Okay, no problem." So you got to tell me where to go. So she's telling me where to go. Now, it's a lift line, so you can't really change the address. And she's telling me where to go, and we're driving along. And, you know, I ended up dropping her off. And when I was riding with the second lady, I was, you know, we were talking about how funny I thought this whole thing was. And she was telling me that, I was telling her that I thought that if she had if the first lady had put the right address in, that I wouldn't have gone back for her. And after I dropped her off, I realized that no, actually, it would have done that way. So something in the navigation system got messed up. I believe I would have gone back to pick them up. But what was one of the things that was funny too is how long it took us. I mean, we didn't really go very far, but it was like 10 minutes because of the traffic to get around, and that's not even the heavy traffic. So, you know, anyway, she was thinking, the second lady was thinking that she wasn't gonna get anywhere. But when she saw us, she's like, "What in the world's going on here?" And I was thinking, "What in the world's going on here?" Anyway, that's one story. I thought that was a pretty funny story about how we had to go back to the same spot to pick up somebody 10 minutes later, and the address was wrong, the whole thing. And it kind of reminded me of other times. I've had instances where I've picked up people before. There's one lady who works over in East Broward, and she lives in West Broward, and I've picked her up like 3 different times, and I don't think she remembers. I think she thinks she uses Uber and Lyft a lot, so I think she thinks I'm familiar, but she doesn't really remember who I am. Then there's another lady who, she lives in West Broward, and she works in West Broward, and I picked her up 3 times too, which is kind of funny. Then there's another guy who I've picked him up, and the name seemed familiar, and where I picked him up seemed familiar, and when we were driving, it all seemed familiar until I got right to the very end, and he says, "Here, just do this." And he had done the exact same thing last time too. So I was like, "You know what? I'm pretty sure I picked you up before I dropped you off." He goes, "Oh yeah," and he just ran out. You know, he wasn't very talkative. Nice guy, he just wasn't very talkative. Anyway, another instance is that I picked somebody up that I knew from before, when I used to work in security. And I get this call, it's early in the morning, and I go and I pick her up, and the name seemed kind of familiar, and the lady seemed kind of familiar. And, you know, like when people get in the car, especially early in the morning, I kind of try to judge if they want to talk or not. Some people just don't want to talk in the morning, and I get that, I understand. In this case, I think she did want to talk. I just misread her, because we didn't start talking until we were at the airport, which is where she wanted to go. And when she got out of the car, the whole time I was thinking to myself, I know her from somewhere. Where do I know her from? Well, it turns out that where I worked security before, she used to come in all the time. She was an attorney. And I don't want to say all the time, but she's been in more than once. She's a very friendly lady, very nice lady. I just didn't recognize, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, because I guess the environments were so different. I don't know. So anyway, I thought that was a little interesting. Then there was another time where it was like an early Saturday, Sunday morning, something like that, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I picked this guy up in Fort Lauderdale, and I take him over to Home Depot. Then I get a call, and I go away, and I pick somebody up, I drop them off, I get another call, I pick somebody up, I drop them off. Then I get another call, and I'm driving, and I go, "This looks like Home Depot." Sure enough, I go and I pick the guy up to take him back to his home again after he finished his shopping, which was I thought funny. And then, you know, for the last one, the first time something like that happened to me was when I was working in the morning. I do two shifts. I do a morning shift and then I do an afternoon shift. And I was working in the morning, and I picked up from a hotel down on the beach people that they just flew in from Las Vegas. Okay, it's like 7:30 in the morning. They want to find a liquor store, and I'm trying to explain to them that, look, this isn't Vegas. Vegas is a great city, and I think Fort Lauderdale is a great city, but you don't have 24-hour liquor stores. It's not like everything's open all the time. So I took them to a Publix that was not too far from there, which is kind of where they wanted to go, and I sent them on their way, and I left. I went on my way. So my afternoon shift, I'm driving around, and on the beach, I get a call. And it's in this parking spot where the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale used to be, right across the street from the Elbow Room. By the way, shout out to the Elbow Room. Elbow Room's an institution, Fort Lauderdale Beach. I hope it never goes anywhere. And it's called the Elbow Room because, you only have elbow room in there because it's always jam-packed. It was a fun place when I went to go there back in my younger years. So anyway, there's a parking lot there where it used to be Fort Lauderdale Institute, Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. So I picked these people up, and as they get in the car, I realize it's the same people from the morning. And I'm taking them back to their hotel, which it wasn't too far from where we were. So along the way, they said that they did find what they needed, even though I knew there were no liquor stores open at 7:30 in the morning, which is good. I was happy for them. So anyway, that's my stories of some of the unusual things that have happened while I've been driving around. I just thought about the one, where I had to go back to pick somebody up from the same spot that I just picked them up from, and then thought I'd tie it in with other stories where I've picked people up more than once and different things like that. Okay? Well, this is your driver, Scott. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, please like, subscribe, and share. Take a look at the description box below. If you want to have the loads of fun I have going back and picking people up 2 or 3 times, then consider becoming a driver yourself. There are links below to go ahead and sign up for that. Okay? It's great part-time money, by the way. You have no boss. You set your own hours. So you have a great day. This is your driver, Scott. Take care.